that young people don't engage with the news anymore. This is a well-known fact, documented by, gotta be here somewhere. Well, I can't seem to find it right now, so anyway, I don't watch the news and I don't read the newspaper. So obviously, I know nothing about what's going on around me, since youth is equivalent to ignorance. After all, the only way to engage with the news is to watch the traditional programs and to read traditional papers, right? Wrong. Before you accept this widely held belief, let's raise a few questions. What is news? Who does it come from? Why does it appear that today's youth are disengaging from it, and are they really disengaging or merely leading the way into a new digitalized era of news? So, what actually is news? In his Week 6 lecture, Dr. Stephen Harrington said that no two people will give the same answer to this question. Is it something that the experts in their skyscrapers separated from the chaos below them have deemed necessary for us to know in order to survive in a society that judges on knowledge? Or can news be something more personal, more specific to our own interests and lives? I mean, I'm not big on politics, but if one of my favourite bands is recording a new album, I want to know about it. Why do we automatically assume that news must mean the boring anchor person sitting at their desk with the fake backdrop of the city? Mindich, in his 2005 report, investigated this idea that people will only connect with stories that they find interesting or relevant, quoting statistics showing that people under 30 were more interested in terrorism than, say, issues to do with the economy or overseas conditions, reinforcing the fact that if something does not directly affect us, we are less likely to care. But is it possible to produce stories for mass consumption that will interest the majority of people? Fisk, in his text from 1989, argues that it is not the selection of stories, but the manner of their telling that determines their relevance. And so, to make a story relatable, the audience must first be engaged by the presentation format. Previously, the news desk or a hard copy paper were quite acceptable mediums for news communications, as they were reflections of the formality that was common in society. But as society is developing into a more casual and conversational way of life, the means of communication must too evolve if it is to remain interesting. This explains the success of unorthodox news shows such as 7pm Project, which not only presents facts but debates them and includes comedic input that grabs and holds its target audience. So, while the old school consumers watch their ABC News and read their courier mails filled with what others tell them is important, we are out cruising the net and making our own news values, forming our own arguments and writing our own stories on sites like Oh My News. Dr. Harrington, in his Week 8 lecture, discussed this notion of citizen journalism and how it grew out of a technological development that allowed everyone to have a means of expressing an opinion and potentially have it recognised by millions. This brings us to the idea of the producer, a concept developed by Bruns, again discussed by Dr. Harrington in Week 8. It implies that through the internet, not only do we gather information, but we produce our own information, making us involved in production and consumption of news in ways never before possible. So, I guess if this active consumption of things that we define as news is disengagement, lock me up. I guess if refusing to accept other people's definitions of what makes news is disengagement, I plead guilty. After all, everybody knows that you must be fluent in politics to be a worthy citizen. After all, everybody knows that the Australian Financial Review should be sitting on your bedside table. After all, everybody knows that young people don't engage with news anymore.